It seems like almost no war is just. But it also seems somehow deeply human to fight. And I think your book makes the case no, it's not. Can you try to like get at that? Because it seems that war, there is some that like drum of war seems to beat in all human hearts. Like it's in there somewhere. Maybe that's like a relic of the past and we need to get rid of it. It's deeply irrational.
Okay, so obviously we go to war, and obviously there's a lot of violence, and so we have to explain something, and some of that's going to be aspects of our humanness. So I guess what I wanted us to sort of start with I think it was just useful to sort of start and point out, actually, there's really, 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 really strong incentives not to go to war because it's going to be really costly. And so all of these other human or strategic things, all these things, the circumstantial things that will eventually lead us to go to war have to be pretty powerful before we go there. And most of the time.
Sorry to interrupt. And that's why you also describe, very importantly, that war throughout human history is actually rare. We usually avoid it.
Most people don't know about the U.S. invasion of Haiti in 1994. I mean, a lot of people know about it, but people just don't pay attention to it. We're going to, the history books and school kids are going to learn about the invasion of Afghanistan for decades and decades, and nobody is going to put this one in the history books. And it's because it didn't actually happen, because before the troops could land, the person who'd taken power in a coup basically said, fine. There's this famous story where Colin Powell goes to Haiti, to this new dictator who's refused to let a democratic president take power, and tries to convince him to step down or else. And he says, no. And then he shows him a video, and it's basically troop planes and all these things taking off. And he's like, this is not live. This is 2 hours ago. So it's and basically, he basically gives up right there. So
that's a powerful move.
Yeah. I think Powell might have been one of his teachers in a U.S. military college, because a lot of these military dictators were trained at some point. And so there was some personal relationships, at least between people in the U.S. government and this guy, that they were trying to use. The point is and that's like what should have happened. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, maybe I could mount an insurgency. And yeah, I'm not going to bear a lot of the costs of war because I'm the dictator. And maybe he's human and he just wants to fight or gets angry, or it's just in his mind, whatever he's doing. But at the end of the day, it's like, this does not make sense. And that's what happens most of the time. But we don't write so many books about it. And now some political scientists go and they count up all of the nations that could fight because they have some dispute and they're right next to one another, or they look at the ethnic groups that could fight with one another because there's some tension and they're right next to one another, and then whatever, some number like 999 out of 1,000 don't fight because they just find some other way. They don't like each other, but they just loathe in peace because that's the sensible thing to do, and that's what we all do. We loathe in peace, and we loathed the Soviet Union in relative peace for decades, and India loathes Pakistan in peace. I mean, 2 weeks into the Russian invasion of Ukraine, again, it was in the newspapers, but most people didn't, I think, take note. India accidentally launched a cruise missile at Pakistan, and calm ensued. So they were like, yeah, we do not want to go to war. This will be bad. We'll be angry, but we'll accept your explanation that this was an accident. And so these things fly under the radar. And so we overestimate, I think, how likely it is sides are going to fight. But then, of course, things do happen. Like, Russia did invade the Ukraine and didn't find some negotiated deal. And so then the book is sort of about, half the book is just sort of laying out, well, actually, like, there's just different ways this breaks down. And some of them are human. Some of them are this. I actually don't think war beats in our heart. It does a little bit, but we're actually very cooperative. We're, as a species, we're deeply, deeply cooperative. We're really, really good. The thing we're okay at violence, and we're okay getting angry and vengeant, and we have principles that will sometimes lead us, but we're actually really, really, really good at cooperation. And so that's, again, I'm not trying to write some big optimistic book where everything's going to be great and we're all happy and we don't really fight. It's more just to say, let's be like a doctor. As a doctor, we're going to focus on the sick. right? I'm going to try. I know there's sick people, but I'm going to recognize that the normal state is health and that most people are healthy. And that's going to make me a better doctor. And I'm kind of saying the same thing. Let's be better doctors of politics in the world by recognizing that like the normal state is health. And then we're going to identify like what are the diseases that are causing this warfare.